People saying SEO is dead. If that is real, then why are businesses still investing in it? What's really happening over here?
When I entered into SEO, it was 2010. And it was 2012 when Google rolled out its first ever Google algorithm update. Since then, I've been hearing that SEO is dead. It has evolved and we have to evolve.
So you recommend businesses should still invest in this SEO?
Absolutely.
AI is everywhere right now. Every day someone is saying SEO is dead or AI is replacing marketers. It's worth you hear this from people who are actually growing this in this new era. Hi everyone. Welcome to Link Up with Heath. I'm Heath Balak, co-founder of Link Publishers. This podcast is for everyone, marketers, SEO professionals and founders who are actually trying to understand what is going on and changing in this digital marketing. Instead of chasing trends, we are actually having an honest conversation with people who are doing this every day. And I couldn't think about a better guest whom I could start with. She is having 15 years of experience in SEO and content marketing. She is the founder of Missive Digital, someone I have personally known for years and respected her. Himani Kankaria, welcome to the podcast. So Himani, how have you been?
Really wonderful. And of course, we have AI in the picture. So it's all AI everywhere. I'm just,
You have seen this journey for last 15 years. Let's go to the beginning and actually tell me what made you choose this career and what did you decide how the SEO was going to look like?
to be very honest, I did my BCA, right? And during that entire studies, I used to understand that, okay, when it comes to programming or coding, it is very monotonous, it is that you have to write the rules, you have to program, and, that program needs to work. So there was nothing sort of creativity at that point in time. And I was like, no, I cannot follow the rules every day. I need something creativity. I need to think something which is unusual, unconventional. And at that time, it was just SEO. So got into it.
Amazing. So almost every SEO conference I attend, videos I watch, I have seen people saying SEO is dead. If that is real, then why are businesses still investing in it? What's really happening over here?
To be very honest, you only answer yourself, right? First, see, when I entered into SEO, it was 2010. And it was 2012 when Google rolled out its first ever Google algorithm update. Since then, I've been hearing that SEO is dead. It was 2012 and today it's 2026. So it's like, of course, since 15 odd years, we are just into the era where dead man is walking. But yeah, I mean, see, SEO has always been evolving. Those are the updates from which our processes have evolved. So I would not say that SEO is dead, because if that would have been, of course, a lot of people would not have been investing. It has evolved and we have to evolve it too.
So you recommend businesses should still invest in this SEO?
Absolutely. It has been there and it is going to be.
Recently, in an event, John Mueller actually mentioned that good SEO is good AEO. So can you explain me what John Mueller Google actually meant?
So absolutely, that is correct. That when you have done SEO fundamentally correct, right? When it comes to user experience, technical SEO, on-page SEO, off-page SEO, everything, right? If you've done all of those things in a proper, correct way, in that case, of course, this makes sense. That if your SEO is fundamentally correct, you are definitely going to see good output for AEO or GEO. But there is a twist to it. You cannot just rely on fundamental SEO or basics to get visibility in AEO, right? You need to improve your brand reputation, your brand presence, almost everywhere to make sure that AEO works for you.
Perfect. So let's talk about a real scenario now. Assume I'm your client. I'm coming down to your office saying that AI overviews are actually eating out all my traffic. Don't reassure me, but actually explain me. What are the first things that you're going to do today for my business?
Okay, so in that case, First, I would need to understand about your business, how long you've been doing, what is your, like, say, product, services, where you've been investing in terms of channels, marketing channels. Is it just website that you've been focusing on, or whether you are really active on social media, how your customers has been speaking about you, your products, your services. I would want to understand all of those things. Based on that, we would discuss internally and see all the data that we have gathered, whether it is social media, whether it is SEO, whether it has been email marketing. We want to hear audience insights. We also want to understand the customer feedback. We want to also understand what is the conversion rate of our sales team, right? We will gather all of these data, and then we will internally analyze everything and would help you understand what exactly, how and where your traffic has been leaking, whether it is just because of Google AI overviews, or it is about whether the market has been changed, whether the demand has been changed, or whether the brand reputation has been affected.
That actually makes sense. But let's say once you have implemented all these practices, now it's actually time to prove what is working out for them, right? So let's say if a business is ready to invest in AI visibility today, but then what are the KPIs they can expect from an SEO agency?
Okay, so multiple of them. See, we've been already focusing on the sales that we are able to generate. You know, if it is e-commerce, if it is SaaS or B2B company, we are measuring leads, number of leads, the number of quality leads, how many MQLs that we are generating, how much is the conversion rate from MQL to SQL. When it comes to taking the KPIs with AI visibility, how many times your brand is getting visible? Where are they getting visible? Is it ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Claude? Where? Right? Then it is also about we start getting website traffic from those AI tools. Right? So literally for all of our clients, what we do is we put out the data from the last 6 months that, okay, which channel has been performing better, which AI tool has been performing better for us. Also with AI, thanks to AEO or GEO, whatever practices that we do, I think brand mentions has made increase of brand keywords. So, you know, impressions, clicks, and all of those data has increased massively for branded terms.
So where can I actually check whether my AI or let's say my brand is getting cited? Is there any particular tool to measure this?
See, there are a lot of tools available in the market, right? And I would not say that all of them have been really, really accurate. It is also because it is very new for them also to experiment, right? So in that case, I think Ahrefs is doing pretty well. But rather, you know, when you get cited, it is highly likely possible that you also see such things into the tools like Microsoft Clarity, that how many visits you've got from the mentions, right? So you can check that, you can check GA4.
So I think you are an Ahref person over SEMrush.
No, not at all, not at all. I am a die-hard fan of SEMrush from day one, but I have my own preferences of where and when I use SEMrush and where and when I use Ahrefs.
Tell me more about it. Let's say if it's a small agency who have recently started an agency of SEO or digital marketing, it is hard to buy, let's say, both Ahref and SEMrush. Can you tell me which, if I can invest on one tool only, which would I start with?
I would like to say that, see, you need both. Even if it is, you know, you are into small agency, you need to have both the tools. Even I would say there is one more tool to it. It's like Ahrefs, SEMrush, and then keyword insights as well. Right? You get a lot of insights about queries that you are gonna target, the intent behind those queries. Even these days, both the founders, I mean Andy and Suganthan, they have been working really hard to bring certain things and upgrades to the tool, right?
In your entire 15 years of career, you have done SEO for hundreds of SaaS startups, right? Tell me one of the biggest mistake this SaaS when they are doing SEO.
Technically, I would say they start SEO in-house very late. Most of the SaaS businesses that we have onboarded as clients, what we see as their biggest mistake is that
they've been investing in performance marketing for so long now that they invest or they think that SEO would help at a very later stage, right? So, by the time they are burning so much with so high CAC, then they realize that, okay, there has to be some investment in SEO or in organic channels so that they can actually bring down their CAC down.
Imagine a client comes to you with a brand new website. No content, no backlink, no authority. Tell me, if they hire you today, what would be your first 30 days gonna look like? What are you gonna prioritize and how you're gonna invest the first 30 days?
So, the first 30 days begins with understanding the product and the business, why they are starting up. Because most of the time, what happens is you start the business, right? But you don't know exactly whom you are going to sell, whether you actually have the audience or not, right? So not every product has its own customers, though people say that every product has its own customers, but then that is not the case if you are coming up with a product which is just solving one particular problem, right? Very small problem which can be easily overtaken by large competitors. In that case, if our energy or strategy is going to be in place, we need to understand how are we going to survive in the market? How are we going to make sure that this business scales with the strategy that we are going to bring in? So we will understand the business, we will understand the audience, we will understand the competitors, we will also understand the market, how much is the opportunity, how much sales we can anticipate in a year or two. So we not just think and research about all of these things, we also brainstorm with the top management as well. We also try and understand if it is a product, how technical it is, how much effort the team would need to put in, whether they need to understand the tech or they already know it, right? The team that I'm talking about. Then will things start with what all channels we want to invest in. Being from an SEO agency, I not always come or go and recommend the clients that, okay, since I am an SEO agency, you need to buy SEO services. So that's not the case here. So we understand if they have the audience, we bring in the channel that, okay, if they have audience on LinkedIn, we will recommend that you need to go for LinkedIn. If they have audience on Google or Bing or any other AI tools, we will recommend them to go for AEO or GEO. Similarly, all of these discussions, investing into which channel, how much budget you need, all of those discussions would happen in the first 30 days. Towards the end, we will come to a conclusion where we want to invest, what we can achieve as KPIs, and how longer are we going to sustain in this particular strategy.
So that means your execution starts after the first month. First month is all about research?
Yeah, most of the time. And this happens specifically when the industry is very, very complex. Like say, for example, telecom, right? When we work with telecoms across, like say, European countries, they have different language, right? It takes us time to understand what exactly that they are doing, how they have been doing, or if it's new one, right? Then also it is very difficult for us to just come up with a strategy with no data in place.
So I know you are known for humanizing AI generated content, right? Imagine if I hand you a piece of content without telling you who wrote it. Tell me, how are you going to identify it? What are you going to actually look into that content? Do you use any tool or you have your own evaluation process?
So, yeah, since it is, you mentioned that, I love humanizing AI content. So, I would prefer reading the content manually. By reading itself, if that content is able to help me understand what it means, right, then at least I would give it a shot to read entirely. For founders, growing the business is the priority. For CTO, reducing the tech cost and tech debt is the priority. When it comes to project managers, for them, their project to become successful, their team to perform is the priority. Okay. Right? So, if the content is not built for the right audience, it is going to fail miserably. No matter how much you have optimized it for SEO or any queries, right? So the things that I would look at, whether it is built for specific persona, whether their intent is being fulfilled or not. Third, is it getting hooked by line?
And apart from this, do you use any tools to actually evaluate the content, whether it is AI generated or not?
No. We have our own AI agent built based on what we have understood of after reviewing thousands of content. We have understood that these are the basic things that a content must have, and they are like almost 350 plus points that we have gathered, and we've built our own AI agent.
Okay.
So that is also given to our writers as well. So what happens is they put their content, they evaluate the content before our reviewers or editors get the content for review, right? So that the basics are clear, and then we go to the next part. So for us, if a human is reading, it should feel connected. If that is solved, everything is sorted.
But then tell me three things that AI misses in the content that makes it feel okay, it is an AI generated.
Making mistakes. If I make mistake, I mean, even if I'm writing for a US English, I should make mistakes. There has to be grammatical mistakes. I understand that AI also makes mistakes, but then they make mistakes differently and not as humans. That is one thing. Another is storytelling. I mean, if I had a personal experience somewhere that only I know it, AI does not know it. AI knows only those data that is there available on the web.
Correct.
They will scrap it and they will create their own story version, which might not feel connected. And the third thing is, I would say, graphical representation. Though we can use AI to get those created, but then still, where to connect with which visual representation is something that we feel still the content architects can also only bring to the table.
I think that actually makes sense. But I believe, sooner or later AI is gonna crack that too. Right?
Absolutely. But the things that are in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, it is very difficult to replicate.
Okay, now you have to actually be into the shoes of an SEO expert, okay? Not a founder anymore. Okay. Let's say by any chance you had to audit any website. Tell me, how are you actually going to audit each part of a website? What is your audit process?
Okay, so for me, the first impression matters a lot. The moment I open a website, I would see how it gives me the look and feel, how is the appearance, and whether that is something which would make the positioning of that particular company appropriate or not. Right? Because if the experience is not really good, or if it is not in the language of Gen Zs, if it is not vibing well, right? Then for me, the first audit point is the user experience needs to be improved. Because as you say, right, first impression is the last impression, and that is the case. I mean, if you go out on offline stores, right, for you, the moment you enter, it will give you some vibe. Whether you want to buy or not, that's a secondary thing, right? But whether you like it, whether you love being there, whether you want to, just roam around inside or not, your website is your online version of your store, right? It is your actual real estate, your home, where people, the audience come there and they just feel it. So my first point is, of course, user experience. Then I would like to understand that, how the content has been structured, whether it is helping me understand everything about the business or not. Third, I will go towards understanding that whether technical pieces of SEO has been in place, like say whether it is schema, markups, whether it has been title tags, headings, how they have been made, how they have been placed, how social proof has been utilized, how the credibility scores or credibility qualifiers has been added on the website. So all of those things would come first, and then the rest of, how the content has been made, whether they are quality, whether they are thin, whether they are duplicate, how has been the traffic of the website, how have been the keywords or the queries of the website, and yeah, things go on and on.
But then actually you do it on your own, or you use some tools that helps you give all those answers?
So for the UX, absolutely manual. I mean, I need to feel it to give a feedback that how the user experience has been. So that I do manually. Then it comes to content and everything. So most of my research goes into manual processes. The moment it gets technical, like if I want to understand the traffic, I would go to SEMrush Ahrefs. If I want to understand the backlinks, of course, I would go to Ahrefs, because backlinks is something that I love, the analysis that Ahrefs gives. But when it comes to I want to understand deeper into queries, what queries that has been performing really well, which pages has been performing really well, what has been the intent, all of those, and even the competitors analysis, the competitor gap analysis that we say there, I love seeing on SEMrush. So when it comes to technical towards SEO, for those items, I would go for tools. Otherwise, everything is manual for me.
So talking about technical SEO, you have done auditing for thousands of websites, right? Tell me biggest top 3 technical mistakes a website does very commonly, and by fixing it, you can actually see the results straight away.
The first one is navigation. Going from one page to another. It has to be simple.
As in breadcrumbs?
Could be. But then it is also the website architecture, right? The main menu navigation that we talk about, that how it has been structured. Most of the time what happens is we feel the way we create brochures, the website should be there. Right? But that's not the thing. You have to understand that how it has to navigate from one page to another, how the tree structure of the website needs to build. Right? So that is first thing. Another thing I would say, the structured data. Most of the websites, they just, have FAQ schema markups. But then, there are certain other schema markups that can also be used to help search engines understand about, the page. And the third is the quality of the page, due to which your pages are crawled but not indexed, discovered but not indexed.
And solving these issues can actually get the website on a track, on a positive.
Absolutely. At least that begins at a very good scale.
So Himani, how do you actually retain your customers?
So in that case, I would like to start with that we don't make false promises. So we don't go and tell customers that, okay, we are going to help you make your keywords reach on top positions in 2 months. We don't say that SEO works like a magic, right? So we don't make false promises. Rather, we take a consultative approach that, okay, for us to take your brand to a certain scale, how and what we are going to do. The strategy, the methods and everything, right? That makes them understand that we are not here just to deliver certain things. We are here to help a client, a business achieve their marketing and their business goals.
But isn't that quite straightforward? Do clients like it to hear that?
Initially not, but when they actually see the value that yes, certain things are not required to be done. And certain things are required for their brand as well, for their brand reputation, how they are going to be positioned in the market, how are they going to compete with other market leaders. When they understand that, then they feel like that, okay, this is the team who is working for my business. This is not just another agency, but they are my own team. When they feel that, they keep working with you.
And have you seen any improvement in your retention rate?
So yes, initially when we used to have less conversation with the clients, we used to see that, okay, they feel disconnected from us. But the moment each of our team members started guiding them, sharing the data, sharing the insights behind the data, because data is nothing without insights, yeah, right? I mean, the strategist insights. So the moment we started discussing all of those things during our weekly calls, we have started talking to the sales team, we have started talking to their product team. Almost we keep on talking, brainstorming, and taking the next step, right? That has changed how our retention rate has been improved.
I'm sure a lot of SEO professionals are watching this video, right? So tell me, what are the skills they should have so that they can have a better future?
As I mentioned previously that, SEO is not just about SEO. So the person who is into SEO right now, they need to understand how brand, operates. They need to understand that business is not just about doing SEO, right? They need to understand if a brand or a business needs to scale, at what level you should understand that business, right? And not just how many keywords to target, how many backlinks to build, what technical aspects to solve, right? Because those are the things that you can any which ways learn through experience. But then you need to understand the business so well, then only you will help that business to grow. Because ultimately, any business is investing in SEO for the result of getting more business or maybe growing their brand visibility, right? And until and unless we as SEOs know about that business, it is going to be very difficult. So go beyond your SEO skills, right? Also, try to use AI to make yourself more efficient, because that is something that all agency founders expect, right? It's like, with AI, we know that you can save a lot of your time and effort. In that case, you also need to adapt any process of yours that takes around 7 to 8 hours of time. Try to see how you can automate it. Automate it, the things that are very, process driven, but not the ones that actually need your human intelligence. And the third thing is, keep brainstorming, guys. It is very, very important, because most of the time what happens is we have started talking to AI actually, right? How you can solve this problem of mine and all of those things. But then you need to sit down and do brainstorming with your team, with your client, with your client's team, everything and everybody, right? So you need to talk and brainstorm what is happening in the industry, how the market has been working for you, what is happening in the outside world, is it impacting our business or not, whether the demand is getting evolved or just vanished, right? You need to do, or you need to know everything about that business so that you are evolved as a, someone who is actually going to help that business grow.
So you mentioned AI is something where a hands-on experience is required. Does that actually mean that, or if I'm just doing a very good prompting with ChatGPT or Claude, is that enough?
No. I would rather say that, prompting will also take time, right? So instead of prompting again and again for the same process, you make AI agents, you use Claude Code and build the skills for you, right? So I think that would be better, so that you just don't always have to keep on writing or maybe even doing the voice notes, right? To make that tool work for you. So it is better that you automate it so that, your input is less, but the output is more and better.
So honestly, we do a lot of link building, brand mentions, content writing, digital PR at link publishers. But link building has been our forte. So I'm really invested in your answer. Be honest with me. It's okay. You just don't lie. In 2026, are backlinks still important in improving rankings, or they are just getting away silently?
See, it is like SEO. SEO has never been dead. So backlinks cannot be dead, right? It's just that the purpose of building backlinks has evolved. Initially, people used to invest in backlinks to get better rankings. But then rankings are gone, right? For you, it would be different rankings. For me, it would be different rankings. Different rankings would be for different browsers, different devices, and anything else. In that case, backlinks matter a lot of showcasing your brand reputation. So why people have started investing in digital PR, right? It is just an evolved version of backlinks, right? Initially, do follow links, no follow links. Those are the things that people used to talk about. But today it is about where have you been mentioned? How have you been mentioned? How often have you been mentioned, right? We have a system at Missive which we call content recall system. So I would say use your backlink in a way where you actually build a content recall system. So if you have a use case to put, right, try to utilize the same use case whenever you create any sort of content for backlink purpose.
Can you give an example?
Okay, so if you have a landing page for backlinks, right, you are selling backlink services. And in that case, you have built a landing page for the same. Have more case studies on your website, right? And you try to use one case study in at least 3 of your backlink content. Maybe that could be guest blogs, that could be, PR, that could be anything. But you utilize your content again and again, especially when it comes to use cases or case studies.
Okay.
That will help search engines, that will help AI tools to understand your business, your service of specifically backlinking, and they present it whenever a person is personalizing and asking questions on ChatGPT or any other AI tools.
Okay.
So imagine if you have a case study of, seeing a very good traffic increase with the help of backlinks. You have published this case study. This case study will be utilized multiple times in your backlinks. So A, it is contextual. B, it is relevant. C, the website is healthy and working good. In that case, whenever someone like me, maybe I'm going on ChatGPT and asking, which is the top agency or top platform that can help me with better backlinks because I have a problem called website increase. I want to increase my website and I need an agency for the same. If you would have same use case mentioned in all of the places, ChatGPT or any AI tool would fetch that data and present it to me.
You explained it very well. And I think, link building is no more about just backlinks anymore. Because now, because of AI, they even cite when there is a brand name. So even if I have put down a brand of mine, and even though I'm not getting a backlink from it, AI is still gonna collect it, right? And it is gonna show it. So I think if you are not getting a backlink, but actually a brand mention, it still works.
100%. Because with that mention, the people are going to remember your brand and also they are going to go on Google and search for your brand name. And that is the reason why I mentioned that, website traffic increase from the branded terms has been massively, seen that scale.
Okay. So of course, contextual and relevancy is important while looking for a backlink. But tell me about the actual metrics. What metrics you look for in a website? That's where you decide, okay, this is the backlink I should go for.
Okay, the first thing is that we put that website on any of the tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, and we monitor the last 6 to 12 months website traffic. If they have been affected by any Google algorithm update anytime in the last 2 years, we are going to, discard that website. We want to make sure that the website is healthy. It has growing website traffic. Even if it is not growing website traffic, it should not have a decline in any of the period. So that is the biggest metric that we look at. And second, I would like to say is the website should also be having good content from other sources as well. So say for example, we are investing so much in creating a very good healthy content, right? In that case, if other content are not really well and they are not being done in a proper way, the way we are trying to match, then that also becomes a no-no for us. We also make sure where we are going. Like say for example, if we go to conferences, right? We do check what all people are coming, from which brands they are coming, how the speakers are and everything, right? So for a website as well, we also see how other content has been built. If it is too much promotional, then also it makes no sense of investing there, even if they have very good website traffic. It is all about how your audience is going to perceive if they see your content on that particular website. Right. So that is also something that we look at.
So Himani, right now SEO is no more search engine optimization. It is basically search everywhere optimization, right? So do you agree with this? Have you implemented this in your day-to-day SEO projects?
So yes, absolutely. I do agree with this. And with search everywhere optimization, what we have done with the B2B clients is that we have started making our founders as thought leaders of the organization, right? So we have used LinkedIn for the same. For all the B2B customers or clients that we have, for them, we are trying to build thought leadership on LinkedIn, which means whether it is founder's profile, whether it is company profile, or whether it is LinkedIn Pulse articles, we curate thought leadership based content, which is very, very personalized. So not necessarily that they would be ranking for certain queries on Google, but they would be definitely giving straightforward answers to the people who are actually asking very personalized questions on AO tools.
Then what about brands? Let's say if it is working for B2B, but let's say if it's an ad brand.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, for the D2C or B2C businesses, there are many other platforms. Like say, for example, Instagram rolled out a feature that, now you can make your reels indexed on Google, right? So Instagram visibility has also increased massively. So that is the reason why now you will see on all the reels, there are keywords mentioned right before the hashtags are added, right? So Instagram is there for the B2C. Also, if you are into specific design related, business, Pinterest works really amazing. Even Behance or Dribbble, they are also the platforms where you can do optimization as well. So choose your industry, and there is a platform where building thought leadership can actually contribute to your visibility in AI tools.
Do people actually come from Pinterest to your website? Have you seen some? Can you share some idea, some stats?
See, today, even if people come or they don't, right? What matters is your brand's presence there. If people are there, if your target audience is there and you are not there, you are missing out on visibility. So there's no point of not being visible. If you will be visible, it's your win-win. If you're not visible, your competitors win-win.
So Himani, let me be a bit personal now. Who is Himani beyond Mr. Digital?
Okay, that's very personal now. But I love dancing. I am also at places like, a couple of universities and all of those places where I actually love training and teaching to the students about marketing. Wow. Right. So whatever I have learned, I feel like that, they need to know my story. They need to know how I have learned so that they don't feel like that, okay, there was no one to, teach me. Right. So I love doing that.
So then ocean or mountain?
Ocean.
And I think we have danced together before, right?
Oh, like anything. Oh my God.
SEO Jaipur,
yeah, the SAS SEO Alliance. Oh my God, we danced like anything. Sure. And that's when you see the inner Himani coming out. Himani. Yeah, the real Himani coming out.
Okay, so Himani, now I have a surprise for you. Let's have a quick switch. You have answered so well for so long. Now it's your turn to ask me one question. Maybe about link publishers, me, or this podcast. I'll try to be as honest as you.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I want to understand that, what made Heth choose link building for their entire life, right? The professional life. Because earlier it was, of course, as a service. Then it evolved as a product. So why link building?
So this was a very unexpected question. I think I started my journey. I started doing development, coding, a bit of coding, not a hardcore developer. I did a bit of design, sales as well. And then I actually somehow landed to SEO. I remember we used to have 35 our own assets, and we were monetizing it like anything. Ads, link building, affiliates as well. And that's where I realized, being a business mindset person, money was everything over anything, right? So that's when I decided that, okay, link building can be a good opportunity. And I have seen that evolving as well. It's been like 10 years now for me as well into this overall industry.
Wow.
I have seen blog submissions, directory submissions. And I see that, guest posting, niche edits was taking the stage over all this. That's when I realized, why don't we create a way where I can actually monetize this link building game? And that's how we came up with this idea of this platform. And today we have evolved very well. We started with guest posts and niche edits. And today it's like digital PR, brand mentions. We are even testing Reddit commenting now. So I think that's what made me stick to link building.
Brilliant. Oh my God. That's a mix of SEO, developer plus business owner.
So as we are now concluding this first podcast, let's have a quick rapid fire round. We'll keep it more exciting for our audience, definitely. So I'm gonna ask you a question, and you have to tell me, you have to suggest me which is the best tool you personally use for that particular thing.
Okay.
All set?
Yep.
You have to make sure you have to be very quick. Okay.
Okay. We'll try.
No thinking.
We'll try.
So ready? 3, 2, 1. Technical SEO audit.
Screaming Frog.
Keyword research.
SEMrush.
Content writing.
My own thing.
Let's say for others.
My trained Claude.
Video editor for YouTube SEO.
HeyGen.
Link building.
Link publishers, of course. See, that's not sponsored, let me tell you.
Thank you so much, Himani, for being here. It really meant a lot for me, and I wouldn't have asked for as my first podcast.
Awesome. And genuinely, it has been really great having this discussion because to be very honest, Heth, you asked a couple of questions that were completely out of the box that no, guest would ever think of. So yes, absolutely. Really brilliant conversation. Thank you so much for having me.
And actually, it was easy for me because I have known you personally. I have followed you personally. So I think, everything was just very quick when I had to prepare questions for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
So Himani, you have been doing personal branding a lot for your own, right? Let's see how AI talks about you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna search your name on ChatGPT and let's see what ChatGPT is talking about you.
Sure,
Search who is Himani Kankaria. It is searching the web. Okay, now we have an answer from ChatGPT.
Okay.
Himani Kankaria is an Indian SEO and growth marketing strategist, best known as the founder of Massive Digital, an organic marketing agency that specializes in helping B2B, SaaS, and technology companies grow through SEO, content marketing, and organic demand generation. So, tell us the secret. How did you get in here?
So I think I mentioned about one thing, which is content recall system, right? So usually all of these algorithms, whether it is Google, whether it is AI tools, right? They need answer in one format, which is very consistent. So you know that I've been to conferences, I've been writing content for Search Engine Journal, Search Engine Land, and many other sites, right? So if we talk about the bio we put, right, we try and maintain the consistency of that content. Also, whenever there is anything attached to the author or, the entity or the authority that we carry, we try and repeat the same again and again, right? So I think the recall system of a particular content makes you, makes engines understand about you in the same format.
So let's say if I have to be there, how can I be?
Okay, brilliant. So, it's not just about what goes into author bio or something, right? But I think one thing is very common is consistency, right? Most of the time, wherever I go, whether it is conferences or panel discussions or something like that, the topic remains very close to what I have been doing, right? So, people know me for content, right? So even if you go deeper into understand what AI writes, of course, there will be somewhere written about whether I am contributing to the content part or not, right? So algorithms understand what I put on LinkedIn, what I put on Instagram. So they understand what I put on articles, how I share the case studies, and all the podcast reels and everything, right? So they fetch the data and they see the consistent part of you, right? So make sure that whenever you create content for any of the platforms you choose, whether it is LinkedIn, whether it is Instagram or YouTube or any other platform, right? You try to be consistent to your niche, which you already are. Your link building is your niche, right? So you have to make sure that search engines and AI tools fetch whatever you create the content very seamlessly. So it should be easier for them to fetch you, your data, your content, everything, so that they can put such content when someone asks, who is Heth Balar?
So it means you have to be consistent at every possible channel, be it personal branding or online branding.
Yeah, absolutely. You choose your channels. Not necessarily it is for all channels, right? Even if we curate reels for Instagram, of course, we don't feel that, okay, YouTube might have our audience, right? So we try and put an experiment there. We are not shot for that particular channel yet. But LinkedIn is something where I have been always active. Even I would say my personal branding started from X, which was Twitter earlier, right? So, I got featured across top 200 SEO experts in the entire world. And you won't believe at that point in time, it was like honored to have just only Indian to be in that list. Right. And that happened because I used to keep on sharing whatever I have learned on X. The same thing I followed for LinkedIn.
Okay.
And that's how all the search engines and AI tools fetch the content that, okay, this is what she has been posting. This is what she has been writing. This is what others are talking about me.
Okay.
So I think what other also talk about you, if it is also consistent, the way you talk, I think that's the, blind spot.
Thank you so much.
If this episode gave you one takeaway that you can actually apply it in your work, share it. Tag Himani, tag me, let us know what landed in. And that's how we make the next one better. I'm Hed Balar. This was Link Up with Hed. See you at the next one.